So I just got out of Jojo Rabbit, the newest film from Taika Waititi, and I don't know how I feel about it, which is shocking because I really expected to enjoy this movie. Now, do I hate it? No, by no means do I think this movie is a big ball of trash, but I really wanted to love it, and I don't, and that's what leaves me so confused. This was one of my more anticipated movies of the year, so to walk out of it and just go, well, that was okay, is kind of shocking. Is this a well-made movie? Yeah, I actually think it's really polished. It looks good, it sounds good. There's a lot of elements in this film that I really enjoyed, but then there's some stuff that I thought I was watching a comedy, or at least a satire at the most, or I thought I would expect to like JoJo's character a little bit more, but those two big things, the lack of humor and my complicated feelings of JoJo himself, it leaves me just so confuzzled and so lost on this whole review, because I had in my mind going into this review, I cannot wait to just praise this like I have done with other Taika Waititi movies. I love Hunt for the Wilder People, What We Do in the Shadows, and I really love Thor Ragnarok. So I went into this going, I should at least have a great feeling walking out, but I went and just went, oh, okay, like I got into the car and I was just like sitting, just letting this movie wash over me, and I'm not offended by anything. I think the subject matter is ripe for satire. I think it was, there's some good stuff to say in this movie, but then I think it's sometimes too rushed. Sometimes I think the character of JoJo isn't as good as the filmmakers intended him to be. I have a really complicated relationship on that kid, but then there's other stuff. Like I said, there isn't a lot of just laugh out loud moments. I had a few chuckles. I think there is some good jokes sprinkled throughout, but if this movie was maybe labeled a drama with some comedic elements, I would have maybe liked this way more. But going into this thinking satire, I'm thinking like Mel Brooks, but this wasn't even Mel Brooks. Like, this isn't satire or like parody. Like, it's not as bad as like a Scary Movie or Not Another Teen Movie, but this is a long cry away from like a Blazing Saddles or History of the World Part 1. This is firmly in the middle, which I guess it should be, and it can be. This could just be a average movie, but I just am a little disappointed to feel that way about Jojo Rabbit. Like, this, again, I was so looking forward to this, and now I'm just like, oh, okay. Now, to start this off, there is some great performances. Roman Griffin Davis does a great job as JoJo. As much as I don't personally, like, feel attached to the character, he does such a great job. He is so adorable. Yeah, I don't really agree with what he's saying, but there's an honesty to him, and he portrays that so well. But to me, Thompson McKenzie, who plays Elsa, the Jewish girl that's hiding out in JoJo's house, really steals the show. She kind of comes off a little abrasive and a little rough, and I'm like, okay, calm down, calm down. But then, you know what, I'm thinking about it, I'm like, she is a Jewish girl who has dealt with so much in her life. Yeah, she has the right to be a little aggressive, to be a little angry, or to question JoJo's motives. So then I'm starting to like warm up to her, and I overall really liked her. I really like the supporting cast of this movie. Scarlett Johansson has such a great mother role here. She is dealing with her complicated feelings for her son and his love of being a Nazi, but she's also trying to be this kind of hero for the country as well, and being so anti-Nazi. She does great. Sam Rockwell, Alfie Allen, and Rebel Wilson do so great as these like idiot group of Nazis. Like, I really like what they added to this, and I think the supporting cast is phenomenal. Again, all of the acting is great, but there is one standout in an interesting and not so interesting way. Taika Waititi as Adolf Hitler. That is a weird sentence to say in general, but I don't know how I feel about him. Like, his character was funny at times. I don't think he had as many jokes as the movie thought he had. There was times he would deliver a line, I'm like, was I supposed to laugh? Oh, okay, oh, sure, haha. But yeah, then there's times where I think the portrayal is fun, and there is moments that I do think adds to the gimmick of having Hitler be this like imaginary friend to JoJo. There is moments it works, but overall I was just kind of like, oh, that was cool. Yeah, sure. Like, there's been a lot of talk about him being the supporting actor nomination, especially, but I would nominate Sam Rockwell more. I think he had a more complex story. I think his character went through a wonderful arc, where Hitler's character was just a funny version of Hitler. There wasn't a lot to him that I was really amazed and blown away by, and that's what, again, leaves me so confused that there's moments in this, like the Jojo character, or the way Waititi plays Hitler, that I expected to love, and now I'm just like, oh, yay again, woo! By the end of it, I do feel like the trailers betrayed me a little bit. I was expecting a laugh out loud comedy, and I didn't get that. Again, maybe I should take the satire word more seriously and go, okay, it's not intended to be like a straight out comedy. There was going to be dramatic elements, but I don't even think the dramatic elements were that heartbreaking either. There was just this, it's tonally in the middle. Like, it's kind of funny sometimes, it's kind of dramatic sometimes, but it never commits to either. And that's a big disappointment for me, because I was really hoping this would be insanely funny. I think Hunt for the Wilder People or What We Do in the Shadows are two of the funniest movies I have seen in quite some time, and Thor Ragnarok is the funniest movie in the MCU. But this, I was just kind of like, I can't believe this is going to end up being at like the bottom of my Taika Waititi ranking, because this isn't as funny as his usual films. I really wanted him to dive into what makes this idea so funny to him, what he was trying to accomplish by telling this story. And I see some of the more serious elements he was trying, but for the comedic side, it really didn't translate well. Again, I chuckled a couple times. Sam Rockwell's character is insane, and oh my god, Yorkie, the younger friend of Jojo, he is so great. Those two together are like a young Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. I like those two together. I wanted way more of them. Like, add them together in this movie a little bit more, with more of the Hitler best friend stuff. Have Yorkie kind of meet the girl Elsa in the house to add some comedic elements there. But it didn't happen. There was a lot of, the whole second act was so rushed through. Like, his friend goes to, like, be in the army. Jojo's trying to adapt to finding the Jewish girl and having his beliefs challenged. And all of that was just kind of rushed through. And then we get to a major twist at, like, the end of the second act, beginning of the third. And I'm like, oh wow, that's cool. Oh, we're moving on to something else. There wasn't a lot of moments for me to really fall into the story and really get enveloped. As soon as something happens, it just went on to something else, and I'm like, ooh, let me breathe. Let me just chill in this moment for a little longer. So Jojo's character is interesting. He is a young boy being brainwashed by all the Nazi propaganda. He's living in Nazi Germany in this kind of like training camp to be a little Nazi, and I was just kind of like, okay, cool. But then there's moments where I'm like, I don't think he's learning a lesson. And especially at the end when he just straight out lies to another character, I'm like, what did he learn? Where did he go? What is this character arc? And I don't know why I just don't connect with the Jojo character. There's a lot of times in here that I was just kind of like, I don't like you. Like, I don't want to say that like a 10-year-old kid, but like, I like the actor and I like his performance, but the character himself, I'm like, I don't really like this Jojo character. I don't think he's as sympathetic as the movie wants him to be. He's truly gung-ho about his ways, and even when he's starting to learn the lessons that he should be, that Jewish people are not these monsters, he still treats Elsa so strangely, almost like property to him. And especially, like I said, at the end with what he tries to pull at the end of the movie, it was really kind of like, oh, that's the route we're going in. Yeah, Jojo was supposed to be the anchor of this movie, supposed to be the character I relate to and sympathize with, but then I have the Elsa character who I'm like, she's far more fleshed out. She goes through a little bit more of an arc, and yeah, Jojo isn't as like gung-ho about Nazism as he was at the beginning of the movie, but I don't think his character changes. He strips the Nazi stuff away, but Jojo as a person, I don't think changes much in this movie, and I think they thought he was going to, or at least the viewers would feel that way, but I was kind of like, oh, yay, the kid's less of a Nazi, still kind of a tool. Yeah, this review isn't as nice as I wanted it to be for Jojo Rabbit. I by no means hate this movie. I am just firmly in the middle. I would give this a solid like 7 out of 10 if I had to rate it. It was good, it just didn't wow me. It didn't go that extra mile. It kind of reminds me how I feel about Joker, where I was like, Well, you were trying to say something, you said something, but I don't think there was much behind what you were trying to say, and I'm just kind of let down by this all. Again, I don't hate this movie. I think it is well made, with some good acting performances, well directed, with a okay script. Yeah, so this is where I'm like, oh, cool, I like elements of this, but overall, I can't say I love this movie, and that's what hurts my heart, because I wanted to love this. Yeah, I don't, what do you guys think of this? Like, have you seen Jojo Rabbit yet? Are you interested in seeing Jojo Rabbit? Let me know down in the comments below. What do you thought of this review? What do you think of this movie? Am I just kind of crazy for not being in love with it, or is this justified? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, and give me a thumbs up, because YouTube takes those way too seriously. Alright guys, let's talk about Jojo Rabbit below.